to do in number 32 first? Well, first thing I have to do is check for a greatest common factor. Okay, do I have a greatest common factor in 3a squared and 9? 3, right. So I'm going to divide both by 3, my greatest common factor. So that's your first answer for number 32. They asked for number 32, your greatest common factor. So you would put GCF is 3, divide both sides by 3, and I'm left with a squared plus 3. So if I would distribute that 3, now, a squared plus 3 is irreducible. So that's your final answer. Okay, if you remember from Friday, some of them are irreducible. This is one. I think this is actually the one example I did in your homework or in your notes. Number 35. 5t squared minus 5t plus 10. What's the greatest common factor? 5. Okay, so divide each part by 5, and what are you left with? T squared minus t minus 2. Now, is this one, can you factor this one?
Yeah, put the t's together.
No, because one's t squared, one's t.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, so I have to split them up, so I have t and t. Okay, now I have to, that's step 1. Step 2, check the sign. I check the sign and it's a negative, so it means I have to have a plus minus. Okay? If I have a plus minus, now I have to check step 3, and I think to myself, okay, of the positive negative one at the end, the one with the negative has to be the larger one. Okay? Step 4, write out the factors of 2. So just 1 and 2. Now, one of those has to be negative, and one has to be positive because my plus minus minus plus. Which one of these, if I make one negative, one positive, add up to negative 1? Anyone? I have to make one positive and one negative. Negative 2, 1, right? So I have to make a negative 2, a positive 1. Check your answer. Check your outers and your inners. I have 1t. And I have minus 2t gives me negative t. Is that what I have in the middle? Yes. Now check your outsides. Negative 2 times 1, it gives me negative 2. And I'm good. Okay? Let's do another one. Number 49. Now, do I have a greatest common factor in number 49?
No.
No. I do not. So that means I have to factor it as is. Now here's when it gets hard. Okay, step 1, I have to split my k's, but I have a 28 in there. There is more than 2 numbers that gives you 28k squared. Okay, 1 and 28, 2 and 14, 4 and 7, right? Those all give me 28. So I have to write those down. Now, let me just give you a general rule of thumb. Okay, always pick the ones that are closest together. Don't usually pick these two. Always pick the ones that with the 2 numbers that are closest together. 9 times out of 10 is going to be those. Okay? Now, if you go ahead and write those out and none of the numbers work, you have to go back and change it. Okay? To a different beginning. So let's do that. I'm going to split my k's, and I have 4k and 7k. Okay? So if I multiply those 2 together, I get 28k squared. Second step, check your sign. Negative, so that means I either have a plus minus or a minus plus. Step 3, check this sign. It means whatever I multiply, the plus has to be larger. Step 4, write your factors of 6. So it's 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Now, remember, for this step, you have to multiply 1 by 4 and 1 by 7 because of these. Right? My outers, I'm going to multiply by 4, and my inner, I have to multiply by 7. So one has to be times 4, the other one has to be times 7. It doesn't matter which one, but you have to remember that. Okay? My outers and my inners are going to be multiplied by a number. It's not just k and k, it's 4k and 7k. So when I figure this out, I have to think, okay, 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 7 is 7. I have 24 Oh, I'm going to do it backwards. Okay, if I multiply this one by 4, that means I can multiply this one by 7. So I have 42 and 4, and I have 24 and 7. Do either of those, if I make one positive and one negative, add up to negative 8, or I'm sorry, positive 13? One positive, one negative. No. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I got to move to the next one. Multiply it by 4 and multiply it by 7. So I have 8 and 14, and I have 12 and, oh, I wrote the wrong one, the wrong spot. This one's times 4, so this one has to be times 7. So 21 and 8 and 12 and 14. Now, do either 8 and 21 and 14 or and 12, if I make one negative, one positive, add up they're positive 13.
Yeah, 21.
Yeah, 21 and 8. If I make 8 negative and 21 positive, don't they add up to 13? Yeah, so I have to make my 2 negative and my 3 positive. Now, think, what did you have to multiply for this one to get 8? You multiplied it by 4. So which one gets multiplied by 4? The negative 2. So that one goes out here. Because see that outer sign? That one gets multiplied by negative 2. That means this one has to be multiplied by 7, so my 3 has to go here. If you're not sure if that's right, check your outers and inners. My outer is 4k times negative 2, gives me negative 8k. My inners are 21k. Add them together and I get 13k. Is that what I need?
Mm-hmm.
Go back up to where, yep, 13k. Check your outers, or your last, F-O-I-L, FOIL. Okay, your last, negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Yep, that's it. So it's 4k plus 3, 7k minus 2. Okay? Do you want me to do another one? Or you get the hang of it? Do another one? Well, nobody's writing these down. I'm a little irritated.
We visualize.
I'll do
Visualize the text, just like the
I'll do number, didn't we just do that one?
Yeah.
I'll do this one. This one's not a hard one, but I'll do it anyway. I'll do number 5.
This is just like the one we were doing.
Okay, I'll do number 5 like you. Oh, this is your homework. All right, this is number 5 on your worksheet that you're getting tonight. I'll give you your worksheet even, that way you guys can write it in. Okay, I have 25x squared plus 15x plus 2. Do I have a greatest common factor to factor out? What?
5 and 5.
What?
5 and 5 is equal.
Well, if 5 would work for 15 and 25, but is 2 divisible by 5? No, so the stinking thing doesn't have a greatest common factor. So I have to factor it as is. So step 1 to factor it as is, I have to split my 25. Now, 25 has more than one option. It has 1 and 25 and 5 and 5. Now, do you guys remember what's the rule of thumb? I have 1 and 25 and 5 and 5. Which one do I want to use?
5 and 5.
The two that are closest together, so 5 and 5. Okay, so I'm going to use 5 and 5. 5x and 5x. That's not always going to work, but start with that one. If it doesn't work, you go back and you change it. But try that one first. Now, step 2, check your sign. It's a positive, so what does that tell me the signs have to be? Negative, negative, or positive, positive. So this is plus, plus, or minus, minus. Then I check step 3. What does that tell me of those two? Yeah, it has to be positive, positive. It has to be plus, plus. Okay, because this is positive, the first sign, that means it has to be plus, plus. Now, I have to think, okay, I need the factors of 2. Step 4. I'll change colors here so you can see it. Step 4, factors of 2, well, I don't have many. I just have 1 and 2. But remember, I have to multiply them by 5 and 5. Right? The outers are going to be whatever that is times 5. The inners are going to be 5 times whatever this one is. Okay, so I'm going to have to multiply by 5 and 5. So do 5 and 10 add up to 15? 10 plus 5?
Yeah.
So there they are. Okay, so one is 1 and the other one's 2. Now it doesn't matter because they're both positive. It's plus plus. And they're both 5s, 5, 5. So they're flip-floppable. Okay? Technically this is, I mean it doesn't matter, but if this was a different number, we'd have to do something different. So now check it. I'll check it in green, the color I haven't used yet. I have 5x times 2 is 10x. 1 times 5x is 5x. Add them together, I get 15x, which is exactly what I want. 1 times 2 gives me 2. So I'm good. Okay? If ever you get confused, check your outers, inners, and your lasts. And make sure they add up to the middle number and multiply to the last. Okay? You want me to do another one on that worksheet?
Yep.
Okay, let's do another one. How about number 7? Let's do the next one. 12x squared plus minus 44x plus 7. Now, do I have any GCFs to pull out? No.
Why don't you?
Well, is there a number that is divisible into each one?
No.
Can 7 go into 44 and 12? No. So if 7 is a prime number, there's nothing else that goes into 7. So that there's nothing I can factor out. So I have to start at step 1. Step 1 is split your 12. Now, 12 has more than one option. It has 3. I have 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4.
3 and 4.
Start with 3 and 4. Always start with these. That's what I always start with. Okay, or recommend that you start with. So I'm going to start 3x and 4x. Step 2, check your signs. Positive, so it has to be plus plus or minus minus. Well, step 3 is going to tell me which one it has to be. Has to be negative, has to be minus minus. Because that's a minus, that means it has to be minus minus. Step 4, I have to write all the factors of 7. Well, guess what? There's not very many. Yeah, there's just 1 and 7. There's nothing else. So I have to think, okay, I have to multiply 1 by 3 and one of them by 4. Okay, because I have this here and this here. So times 3 times 4. Well, what does this give me? It gives me 4 and 21 and 3 and 28. Do either of those, if they're both negative, do either of those add up to negative 44? No, they don't. So what does that tell me? It's not irreducible yet. What?
Can't use 3 and 4.
You have to use 2 and 6, or 1 and 12. So now, since it doesn't work, you got to go back up, and you got to change it. Okay, 3 and 4 doesn't work, so I got to change this to just try 2 and 6. The signs are still going to stay, but now I have to multiply it by something different. Okay, so now I'm going to multiply by 6 and 2. So I have 6 and 14, or 2 and 42. Do either of those add up to 44? Yeah, 2 and 42, so there they are. They both have to be negative, and which one gets multiplied by what? 7 gets multiplied by what? And 1 gets multiplied by what? Yeah, 7 and 6, and 1 and 2. So I know 1 has to go here, and 7 has to go here, because these two are the inners, and these two are the outers. Check your answers. My outers are negative 2x. My inners are negative 42x, which gives me negative 44x. Is that what I need? Yep, and check your last. Negative 7 and negative 1 are positive 7. Okay? I'll give you the rest of the time to work on your homework. Okay? I'll collect both assignments tomorrow. So those of you that didn't get all finished, you have till tomorrow. Okay. If you did get finished, I mean you don't have near as much homework for tonight. Everybody else?
I already did it. It's fine.